I was waiting for it.
Where are you from? Like, governor.
The UFC in town, we all got a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. They're one of the biggest organizations in sports, and right now Tom and I have agreed to wait for the UFC to make their announcements. So I legally can't really talk about it.
Understand that John Jones is ducking Tom Aspinall or scared of Tom Aspinall. Nobody is scared of anybody in this level, and that's something you have to understand. But what I do understand is that there is a business going on behind the scenes that many of you have to understand. Look, here's the harsh reality that many of you have to take, okay? And this is going to be very harsh for a lot of you to follow. Once they sign this fight, and I have so much confidence that they are going to sign this fight, all of you who have been saying John Jones is a duck, all of you who have been saying John Jones is scared, all of you who said, let's just get on with this, we're getting tired of it, whatever you want to say, black fatigue, fatigue this, fatigue that, UFC fatigue, whatever type of fatigue you got going on. The UFC is going to display it on their countdown show, and as a result of that, many of you are going to look like the biggest fools in the world. Ever since John went to Thailand, this has been Dana White's inbox as of late. People wishing for him to be stripped. John Jones wishing for Dana White to be there. More people wishing for him to be stripped. And then Tom Aspinall making business decisions ahead of John Jones away from the UFC. Well, speaking of Thailand, do you remember when Van Dam went to Thailand to try and fight Tom Poe? What exactly happened? Obviously, he was in front of a seminar, in front of a gym, just like John Jones, and everybody sort of laughed him off, right? That's sort of what's going on here. But here's the thing. There's a lot more to this story that I don't think many of you truly understand. Now, the reason why I say that is because there's many aspects of non-disclosure acts that many companies, such as the UFC, sort of practices. That's something many of you are not taking into consideration and quite frankly ignoring because there's just so many noises that are going on outside of the UFC right now in terms of YouTube content creators. You want the answers right now. Well, that's not how it works in a multi-billion-dollar company. They have to do things the right way. And as a result of that, they're not going to let you know right off the bat what is going on. But I tell you what, there is a fight and something is going to happen. But you know what? I'm going to give you the full details on this one. So let's get to the rest of the video. So Maycee Barber apparently had to pull out of this fight due to an epilepsy or a seizure of some sort. And then adding insult to injury, here comes Erin Blanchfield knocking her down while she's already down, out of her luck and out of this fight. And then also talking about how she's so undisciplined because guess what? She pulled out of this fight, which sometimes maybe she has no control over. We don't know the whole underlying issues of what's going on here. But I tell you what, it builds for a great rivalry for the future, or it may show some telltale signs of Maycee Barber and some underlying health conditions that she needed to take care of beforehand. But on any regard, the other topic that we wanted to talk about, obviously, is John Jones. We're going to talk about that in a second, okay? We're also going to talk about Caleb Plant losing to Resendez. Now, usually when we put up boxing matches like this with unknown guys, we usually think that the known guy is going to win all the time. What happened with Jamie Munguia? You've seen what happened there. A guy that I don't even know his name beat him, knocked him out right after the Canelo fight. And I'm thinking, man, you know what? This is a great place for where boxing needs to be. We need to give opportunities to unknown guys. And if they somehow rise to the occasion and deserve all the praises in the world, man, we need to give it to them. And we need to give props where props is due, not fall into this favoritism of, well, he is a superstar, so we're just going to go with him. So that's basically what happened in all of the combat sports relating to May 31st, 2025, now going into June 1st, 2025, as the season of combat sports goes on, an all-year-round season. Well, the next topic at hand that really needs to be talked about is Jon Jones. Now, many of you have said something to the effect that Jon Jones is a duck. Jon Jones is preventing this fight from happening. That's the overall narrative. Well, fast forward to Thailand, okay? He has a seminar going on with some English fighters, some Thai fighters, and some Russian fighters down there, right? What did this English fighter ask him? He asked them, hey, are you really about to fight Tom Aspinall or not? So here's something that a lot of you did not take into consideration, okay? Jon Jones said something to the effect that I think many of you who've never worked in a corporation that has asked you to have a gag order or an NDA, also known as a non-disclosure act, need to know, okay? This is something you guys need to know that have never worked in that type of company before. Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall cannot say whether or not they are going to fight, because there are stacked matchups that are already happening all throughout the summer and all throughout the fall, and they need to fall somewhere down in, let's say, November time in order to sort of promote this fight, right? Okay, you got in June, 316, O'Malley versus Merab. 317, I'm sorry, no, this is, 317 is, when is 317? I don't know what 317 is, actually. I do know that 317 obviously is International Fight Week. That is Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira. And then 318, you got Khamzat and Dricus, middleweight title. That's in August. 319, that's 319. 320 is UFC's Noche, which, by the way, got moved from Guadalajara, Mexico, all the way up to San Antonio, Texas. And how ironic, because that's where the Alamo is, and it's very ironic for the celebration of Mexican Independence Day. And if you understand anything about history, you know, it's a very unusual place to transition from, especially when they go from actual Guadalajara, Mexico, and all the way to San Antonio, which at one point was probably Mexico as well. But on any regard, that's 320. And then 321, you have Abu Dhabi. Okay? So what is 322 to 323? Where do these fights fall under? Well, you're going to have Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall fight somewhere in UFC New York. Their November card that they have every year. It's a big card. Conor McGregor started it. The next year it was Daniel Cormier, and then next year it was somebody else, and then the next year it was Jorge Masvidal and Nate Diaz. The list goes on and on, right? It's now a historical card for their yearly product that they are doing. So why can't they talk about it? Well, obviously there's a gag order in place. And for those of you that don't understand that, you only want to understand that Jon Jones is a duck. You only want to understand that Jon Jones is ducking Tom Aspinall or scared of Tom Aspinall. Nobody is scared of anybody in this level. And that's something you have to understand. But what I do understand is that there is a business going on behind the scenes that many of you have to understand. Look, here's the harsh reality that many of you have to take, okay? And this is going to be very harsh for a lot of you to follow. Once they sign this fight, and I have so much confidence that they are going to sign this fight, all of you who have been saying Jon Jones is a duck, all of you who have been saying Jon Jones is scared, all of you who said, let's just get on with this, we're getting tired of it, whatever you want to say, black fatigue, fatigue this, fatigue that, UFC fatigue, whatever type of fatigue you got going on. The UFC is going to display it on their countdown show, and as a result of that, many of you are going to look like the biggest fools in the world. So what did he say to this English gentleman? He said, the UFC is the biggest product in the world. me and Tom are not allowed to make any announcements until the UFC says otherwise. So in other words, he's basically telling you this fight is happening, but there's a lot of business going on behind the scenes. And I just told you, there's this card in June, July, August, September, October, and then somewhere in November, and maybe by the end of the year, their final quarterly, they need to get that fight going. And many of you don't want to understand that. Why do you think Tom is making all of these jokes? Why do you think Tom is having so much doubt? I believe that Tom is being very genuine when he's saying that he has doubts for this fight. I'm going to tell you why. Because I think the UFC is keeping him in the dark in ways that they're not keeping Jon Jones in the dark. Here, that is the important piece of information that you really need to understand. So why are they keeping Tom Aspinall in the dark? Do you know anything about UFC matchmakers? They tell you things about your opponents to get you mad, to get you agitated in order to build the fight. Now, you look like the bad guy for not wanting to fight as much as the other guy and then holding up the fight at that. So now you look like the villain. That's not the reality of this situation. Okay, the reality of this situation is that they're telling Tom something, maybe not the full details, but they're telling Jon all of the details, but also telling him to be quiet, but also having a little fun at it by poking fun at you guys that really believe that Jon Jones is a duck. Jon Jones is playing the perfect bad guy in the heel. You guys seen this in professional wrestling. What does the heel and the bad guy do when he is about to get confronted by the good guy? The good guy says to him, well, you know what, let's fight right now, or this and that. What does the heel do? He gets out of the ring, he steps out of the ring, and once he steps out of the ring, he looks at the opponent and he says, next time, we'll do this next time, or we'll do this on a payday, right? Let's get paid for it, not a street fighter, this and that. That's what heels usually do, or they'll just reject you altogether. Now, look, here's another thing I need to talk to you about why Jon is in Thailand. Okay, that is a reality. He is there for a Russian reality show similar to Tough, not the actual Tough series, because obviously Daniel Cormier and Chael Sonnen are hosting that right now, but this is a different Tough with Nate Diaz and Jon Jones. Obviously, Nate Diaz got kicked out now. I suggest you look at the videos that I made on that particular matter. But let's analyze this. He's in Thailand. He's already got great Muay Thai. His Muay Thai is top notch. Okay, he has great Muay Thai skills in the way that he grapples you, the way that he holds you down, the way that he plums you, the way that he clinches you over unders, and in the way that he throws knees into it. He's got great Muay Thai. He's got great kicks. Jon Jones is one of the best kickers in MMA, right? The spinning back kick, obviously, that's more of a Taekwondo move. But regardless, he's got great striking and great Muay Thai at that, right? Particularly, I think the reason why he has great close-range Muay Thai has something to do with his wrestling, something I know a little thing or two about, being able to use wrestling as a way to dominate in Muay Thai, especially in the close-range shots. Thing you got to understand now with Jon, okay? He's in Thailand. He's training with Russian boxers, Russian bare-knuckle boxing champions. Why is that? What is Tom Aspinall's strongest martial arts? It's boxing, other than jiu-jitsu, of course. Now, how did Tom Aspinall lose the last time he lost to Curtis Blades? He got leg kicked. 15 seconds in, his knee blew out. So that means there's a weakness in the knee. Means you got to go for the calf kick. You got to go for the leg kick. And guess what happens when you go for those shots? You're going to hurt Tom Aspinall. So there's a strategy and a reason why Jon Jones is in Thailand. You see, here's something interesting too that nobody talks about, right? Jon and Tom are in the opposite ends of their training styles right now. You see, Tom grew up training with smaller guys, but very technical guys. And then later on, Tom decided to bring in all the top heavyweights in Europe, Phil DeFries, Mick Parkin, the list goes on of the top upcoming heavyweights that are in the UFC right now and elsewhere in other organizations across Europe. Tom has all of them. Whereas with John, he started out as a light heavyweight, training with heavyweights with the names of Shane Carwin, Brendan Schaub, Matt Mitrione, Alistair Overeem, Frank Mir. The list goes on of the top heavyweights that John Jones has trained with. Even Gable Stevenson. But now John is training the opposite in the same similar fashion in the way that Tom had started. MMA needs, if you want to find predictions, news, and everything that deals with MMA, shout outs to Kyrie Abu El-Kheer MMA, Sacramento, California, represent.
That's right, Kyrie. I appreciate you, my nigga. You came in here, you was talking that shit. That's right, bro. Much love, Flo. I appreciate you for always stepping in, bro. Be safe out there. Man, my nigga Kyrie, my man Kyrie came through. He started talking that shit. Hey, here's the thing. Here's the thing. That nigga will whoop your fucking ass. You will think that nigga's all squared up and all that type of shit. Nigga come through and beat your fucking ass. Like, man, fuck you up. You will never see it coming. So for those of y'all